life in hard and work. Weary. Well, many rise from our children.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jamming with Leroy. Today we are taking a trip from the island to Europe, and we are here with a special guest, and we'll be asking my guests questions about the joys and the challenges, and just about everything in between, from his home in Trinidad to here in the Netherlands. So guys, come jam with me as we discuss the intricacies of leaving your home in the Caribbean to come into Europe. Guys, here is my guest. Welcome.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself.
Hi, pleasure to be here. My name is Sky, and I am all the way from Trinidad. Actually, it's Trinidad and Tobago. It's the Twin Island Republic, two beautiful islands. I actually lived in Trinidad, even though I have family in Tobago. And I came to the Netherlands in 2023, actually. So I've been here for about a year plus, almost 2 years. Yeah, there are a lot of, I'm sorry?
Before you go, just tell me about growing your life in Trinidad. Just a synopsis of, what your life was like in Trinidad growing up as a boy.
Life was interesting, I'll tell you that much. It was a mixture of good and bad, as with everything. So I grew up in what's known as your traditional family. Mother, father, both of them were around, both of them were very present, very active. And I would have gone to primary school, secondary school, I did my degree. I would have been somewhat involved in different aspects of the society by way of choir. I would have tried to get involved in some aspects of church because I also grew up in church as well too. And that shaped a little bit of who and what I am today, even though now I kind of drifted from that, but that's another story altogether. But generally growing up in Trinidad, while it had its positives and it had its fun times, there were also some dark moments as well. As a young boy, you have a lot of issues when it comes to like your masculinity. So policing your masculinity, you have a lot of issues trying to fit in, navigating teenagerhood, for want of a better term. So you have things like drug use, you have things like navigating relationships, you have things like navigating the school system as well too, which depending on where you fall in terms of which social class you're in, it could either be easy or not so easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it was an interesting time. It was filled with highs and also lows.
Yeah. Trinidad is known for its vibrant culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carnival,
and of course food. So tell us about the carnival and the food.
Well, Carnival is one of those times where you see unity. It's a time where you have a lot of vibrance of colors.
Yeah.
And I think it's a positive side to some of the negatives that we have.
Yeah.
So while some people may want to say Trinidad has crime and a host of negatives, I think Carnival is one of those times where we don't necessarily look at skin color, we don't look at social class, because all of we is one, for want of a better term. When you're talking about Carnival, you're talking about the different aspects. So you're talking about sailor mass, you're talking about your traditional mass, you're talking about bikini and beads, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
You're talking about the March Gras, which I actually enjoyed, oddly enough. Soca Monarch as well. And I think over the years you've seen, I wouldn't say a change, but a reimagining of the culture. Because whereas in the past, when I was a child, there was this push towards traditional mass. Over the years, you have a lot more less fabric and more body, more skin.
Okay.
Bikini, beads. The music tends to be a little bit more wild, and some people say a little bit more vulgar. You also see, when it comes to the music for Carnival, there's a lot of fusion. So you have Afro beats coming in as well too. You have a return to the traditional calypso melodies. I believe it was this year they had, well, that's 2024. 2024 into 2025, there is a rhythm, I think the Tilden rhythm. It has a couple of artists, like Marshall Montano, voice, lyrical, and that rhythm harkens back to the traditional style of calypso music, but it's kind of married with soca, so it's a really nice fusion of the two. For those persons,
I used to listen to Calypso Rose.
Calypso Rose back in the day.
Back in the days.
She's actually
Lord Kitchener.
Oh, God rest his soul. Calypso Rose has been credited, as well as Lord Kitchener, as creating as well as Rash Shorty Eye.
Yeah.
As well as they've been credited with creating what we have today.
Yeah. Definitely.
One of the things that I love though is the fact that even though Lord Kitchener has passed, his son is still carrying on his legacy. Colonel Roberts, still carrying on his legacy by way of his fashion, by way of the music, but also similar to what I was saying before, there is a melting and a marrying of new age soca and calypso, and you see that through some of, so like for instance, the Mighty Shadow, his son is doing music as well. Yeah. Colonel Robert is also doing music as well, because they still have that influence.
So you see, it's safe to say it's a new generation music.
Yes. But it still gives you a sense of nostalgia. Yeah. And as I'm talking about that, I'm smiling because it really carries you back to a time when things were less stressful. Yeah. When things were, you didn't have to worry about COVID, you didn't have to worry about work so much, you didn't have to worry about who won elections and who lost. It was a happier time. It was an easier time. Yeah.
What is that one thing that you miss the most about Trinidad?
Music.
The music.
The music. And I didn't even have to think. You know, it's interesting because I am a musician. I am a vocalist.
Okay.
So a lot of my life is colored by music. I could give you a song for everything that I do. Oh. If I'm taking a shower, I could find a song for that. If I'm cooking, I could find a song for that. If I'm sad, I could find a song for that. And a lot of my life has been punctuated by different genres, but different artists in Trinidad. I remember my mom, who was also into the arts. She was part of Best Village. And for those of you who may not know, Best Village is a competition where some of the different, not districts, the different boroughs and areas and regions in Trinidad will come together and compete. Yeah. You have a pageant, you have traditional dances that they do, all for a title. Yeah. So my mother grew up in that, and she kind of passed that down to me. Yeah. And my father was also into music. He was a calypsonian back in the day. Not as popular as Kitchener, but he still made a mark. Yeah. And so I grew up finding love and appreciation for music. Oh. Coming here, the music is different. And even, I'm not just going to say coming here, music is different, but generally you're not going to find the same infectious beat. You're not going to find the same delivery. Yeah. Because I can tell you, Trinidad is known for party. And part of that party really is about the type of music that you play and the lyrics, the energy that you feel from the song or songs that you listen to. So yeah, that I really miss the music.
Right. Yeah, so let's talk about now the big move from the Caribbean now to Europe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because it's not the first time that I came to Europe. I'll start there. Yeah. My last job was a traveling job, and I remember prior to getting that position, I always said I wanted to come to Europe to visit, and I was fortunate. Yeah. In about 4 months, I was able to do different parts of Spain, different parts of Italy, different parts of France, as well as I would have had a layover in Amsterdam, Skipona. Oh, okay. So I would have been able to see parts of Europe,
good.
Portofino, Nice, Marseille, Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, you name it, I've been there.
Okay, good.
And I think after you've done the Caribbean, after you've done part of the US and you've done Europe, you start to think, okay, where do you best fit in?
Yeah.
Where do you best identify with? And I think at that time, with what I saw, I think I identified a lot with Europe. Now, as to where in Europe, that was debatable.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if I should go the route of Spain, if I should go the route, of Netherlands. But after consideration, I ended up in Netherlands.
Okay.
It's been an interesting journey, I would say that. Simply because you have to prepare yourself and understand that you're no longer in your comfort zone. When you're in the Caribbean, you're comfortable. Even though life may not be easy,
Yeah.
you're still comfortable. That's where you were born, that's where you were raised.
Yeah.
Here, you don't know the language,
Yeah.
you don't know the people, you have to learn the culture, everything is new.
Yeah.
I was fortunate in that I would have traveled before, so getting used to a new culture was easy, but it still had its challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for example, how are you adjusting now to the life here and the the lifestyle here?
So far, I've been fortunate. Let's start there. I've been fortunate. I've been able to find some solid support systems.
Yeah.
Albeit not many, but they are sufficient enough to keep me grounded. And that has helped in my adjusting and in coping to life here. I think also that understanding that you're new, you don't know everything, and because of that there's a certain humility that is required, a certain vulnerability that is also required in order for you to learn and integrate successfully. That is, there's also a certain hunger that's required, because you want to know. Nobody held a gun to your head and say, hey, come here, go there. No, you want to know. You came here, so you should want to learn the language, you should want to learn the culture, you should want to try the foods, you should want to try the music, you should want to see what some of the festivals are.
Right.
And I think for the year and change that I've been here, that's what I've been trying to do. The process has not all been easy, because there would have been some times where obviously you miss home, and as I was saying earlier, that comfort, that safety that is no longer there, but you miss having that.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. And as a result of that, sometimes you find yourself doubting and saying, why am I here? Why am I going through all this? Oh my God. But I think when you keep pushing, that perseverance and that resilience is what really is going to allow you to get that payoff. Whether it be a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to see it pay off. And I can safely say, for the time I've been here, I've been seeing it. I'll give you an example. When I came here, I knew no one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I knew no one. I would have known a couple of persons, but I still came by myself.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to navigate. I had no idea what life was. I had nothing. And now I do dance, so I'm part of a dance group in Groningen. I have some performances that I do as well too. I have a couple of performances that I'll be doing next year as well too. I'm in a couple of projects where I do some social work as well. So it's me integrating and learning the society, but it's also me understanding where I fit.
Yeah. So it is safe to say you are socially you're getting by.
Yeah, I'm getting by.
Right.
I'm getting by.
But is there any cultural shock?
The bicycles for one.
The bicycle. Tell me about it.
So,
Tell me about it.
when in the Caribbean, you know that there isn't this push to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, when you're a boy, your parents may tell you, ride a bike. That's what boys do.
Yeah.
And they may probably buy a bike for you, and because you see your friends have one, you want to be part of that. So you ride around the neighborhood with your friends, etc. But biking and this dependence on biking as a major means of transport is not part of Trinidad/Caribbean culture.
Yeah. Definitely.
Coming here, that was a shock for me.
Yeah.
Because everybody and their grandmother, and literally I mean that their grandmother,
Yes.
they bike. You have bikes for young people, older people, male, female, you name it, cargo bikes, you have 3-wheelers.
You have 2 wheels bike.
Yeah.
That for baby that doesn't have the pedal.
Yes.
You just get on
You
there
just- and you walk.
And you walk. It's a little beginner's bike.
Yes. So
Even our prime minister,
Yeah.
he ride his bike to work.
that's interesting, and I think that speaks to the culture in the Netherlands. That simple, or dare I say simplistic, minimalist, humble idea that they have, where even though you're the prime minister, you can still ride a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stood out for me. I remember the first time, because in Trinidad, you would know, ministers, prime minister, presidents, they're not riding a bike. They have their entourage and their limos and their expensive vehicles.
Those things.
Right. The only time they would ride a bike is if there's an event, and usually that's accompanied with photos and the prime minister is on a bicycle. But generally, you don't see that. You don't see that. So when you come here and you see prime ministers and ministers and stuff, members of the cabinet riding and riding so yes, that shocked me. That one really did. Apart from the bicycles, I would want to see also the weather.
The weather.
The weather did throw me. And even now, I mean, you could see.
Yeah, I see you in April.
Even
though
though
the sun is there.
yeah, even though the sun is out, and that's the thing. The weather could be deceptive, because one of the things that I've learned, and I had to learn this by force, in one day you could have 4 different types of weather.
Seasons, yeah.
All 4 seasons in one day.
In one day. Because when on my way here, it was sunny like this.
Yeah.
And then I almost thought we had a hurricane.
Yeah.
By the time I'm coming out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it is.
Like, it's interesting because even there would have been times I would look out my window and I would think, oh, it's sunny. And you may even feel the warmth on the window.
Yeah.
And when you step outside, you're like, oh God, why is it so cold? And you start to freeze even though you have hot sun on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I've learned, always have a jacket.
Yeah.
Always have an umbrella. Always be prepared, because you can leave home in the morning in sun and come back home in wind and storm and rain and even snow.
It get that much sometimes.
In the Caribbean, you would know that it's really just sun and rain.
Yeah. Basically,
the
sun, rain.
The most you may have to contend with is some strong winds. That's it. Yeah, but those 2 things I think would have really been a culture shock for me, or would have been a shock for me.
Yeah. And give me explain to me something about your impression of the language, the Dutch.
It's unique, I would say that. I've heard people say that it's not a nice language. I wouldn't say it's not nice, I would just say it's unique. Yeah. And it may be a bit challenging because of all the different rules.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's the language. And far be it from me to come and be judgmental about the language, because that's what is here. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of being hungry to learn and wanting to learn in order to integrate.
Yeah.
Nobody held a gun to my head and said, come go to the Netherlands. Yeah. I came here.
Yeah.
So the onus is on me to find ways to become one with the people and the culture, and part of that is by learning the language. I wouldn't know all of it.
No,
God knows I wouldn't know all of it.
It takes time.
Because I know I have asked some Dutch people questions about the language, and sometimes they don't even know the why. That's just how it is. Okay, why is this so? That's just the rule. What is the rule? We don't know. We just grew up like that. And you hear that a couple of times sometimes.
I have gotten those those response as well.
Yeah, and it really does throw you, because remember, you're trying to learn the language. And so if you like for somebody like me, how my brain works, I need to understand the why. So if you're telling me done het, you need to be able to tell me why are there some words that use the, and why are there some words that use het.
And when should I use them?
Exactly.
It's also basically, it has similarity to our language.
How so?
Also with the A, E, I, O, U and the vowels.
Okay.
And the and the those, and it's all on here and there.
But the thing, it's still simpler, because even with English, there aren't so many rules.
I understand.
We have rules,
but the rules
structure.
are hard and fast, and it's also in a sense where we can. I think you can grapple with it better than the Dutch language, because even sometimes when you are to construct a sentence, you have to think very long. Think, or if you are doing an exam, you have to think quick, because the construct is on there.
Yeah.
It's the other side. Yeah. We construct from this side, and then they from the other end.
Yeah.
And then
that is what I mean when I say it's unique.
Yeah.
I remember when I now started, because I'm still trying to learn the language. I was told, and I quote, "Unlearn everything that you have learned."
Yeah.
And when I first heard that, I'm thinking, why? And then I started seeing, when you're like, for instance, when you are asking a question, it's verb and then everything else follows.
Yeah.
Whereas in English, you have whatever your subject is, you have the verb and then the object. And then the object. It's different. In Netherlands, it's verb, subject, and then the rest. It's so different.
Yeah.
But that's just the language.
That's how they construct.
Yeah.
So yeah. Has your life been improved since your arrival here?
Yes. That question is a matter of perspective, in that for persons who may be looking from the outside in, so random strangers, they may think no, because you've left your country, now you're quote unquote a ward of the state until you get your status and all of that.
Yeah. And
so there's a certain level of dependence, a certain vulnerability that is required. And because of that, persons may think, well, your life is worse. Yeah. But I think for me, there would have been aspects of my life that did improve. One of them would have been an understanding of myself.
Yeah.
Coming from the Caribbean, particularly coming from Trinidad, where you have such a heavy policing of masculinity, where you have such a heavy where you have so many stigmas attached to who you are and what you are and why you are what you are.
Yeah.
You have so many rules, albeit unwritten, as to what you can and cannot do. Okay. Here you have that freedom to be and to exist.
Okay.
And I think in coming to the Netherlands and being allowed that freedom, being allowed that latitude to just live my life as I want to, whatever I deem my authentic self to be, that in itself has made my life better. So I think that's one of the reasons why I said it's a matter of perspective, because for me, while the vulnerability and the dependence on the state for this moment is not necessarily something that I like, I have learned to love me more because I'm able to be my authentic self. Okay. And because of that, I'm more at peace. And because of that, my life is better.
So it is safe to say you're focused now on building you.
Yes.
Because maybe back then, if I may say, back then you had a war internally, fighting and building your life at the same time. But now you're focused on building your life.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That building of you never stops.
Yeah, I know. It's never.
Even when you become, even when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, you're still building, you're still learning.
Right.
I remember I had a teacher that used to say the only time you stop learning is when you die.
And that could be true.
Yeah,
Because we
and
learn every day.
you every single day. If you have not learned, then you are defeating the purpose of life.
Life. Because life is a lesson.
Correct. Yes.
We have to learn it.
And so at this stage, I am continuing building myself, albeit in a different way.
Yeah.
Because whereas before, when I was in Trinidad, a lot of my effort was going into survival.
Yeah.
Here, it's more on, it's partially survival, but it's also on reassuring myself of what I am, who I am, what I'm capable of, my strengths, my weaknesses, etc. And also finding a sense of community that can support me in whatever my future endeavors are. But also finding that community that I can also support. Because one of the things that I know coming into the Netherlands, and this was, I wouldn't say it was a shocker. There's a certain we that's involved in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
A certain understanding of helping persons. Even when you look at how the tax system is and all the different benefits and stuff that you get,
Yeah.
it's really about helping persons who are less fortunate.
Of course.
And so coming here, it's not just about what I can get.
Yeah.
So in building me, I'm also trying to build other persons as well.
persons.
Which is why I said you never really stop learning, never stop
No.
growing. Every day is a challenge.
Yeah. And earlier on, we spoke about the coal as a shock. Yeah, a culture shock.
Yeah.
One of the culture shock. But how are you surviving now the cold here?
You have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And the reality is this.
Yeah.
Let me just take a couple of steps back before I answer that.
Yeah.
One of the things that really didn't fit me is winter depression.
Okay.
And that's important to note because a lot of persons will come from the Caribbean or they will come from countries where you're born in sun.
Yeah.
And even though life may not be the best, you still have that sun to look at as a signal or a beacon of hope. Oh, it's bright outside. Let's see what today will bring.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may come outside and for a week, 2 weeks, you see no sun.
Yeah.
And persons are wondering, but how do plants grow? But I mean, yes, the sun is there, but it's gray skies. Like when it's fall or winter, the trees have no leaves, so it's very dismal, it's very gray, it's very dark.
Yeah.
And that in itself, if you are not self-assured,
Yeah.
if you don't have that strong will and a strong character, it's going to kick you into a state of depression.
Yes, it can, because I've dealt with cases where people have gone into depression in the cold countries.
Yeah.
It's something, but here I have also dealt with it with people, not me, because part of it you have to be assured
Yeah.
of yourself and be ready to be adjusted.
Yes.
Adjust to anything.
And that's the thing, and that brings me to my next point. It's how I am coping and adjusting with it is, I guess, by force.
Yeah.
Because this is what exists.
Yeah.
And I think an understanding of like my triggers, an understanding of when I feel down, what's the reason for it. Oh, okay, so today it's dark outside. I just happen to be feeling sad. Okay, what do I do? Get up, go outside, take a walk,
Yeah.
call a friend, go on the train, probably go see a show, probably, just find something to watch online outside. It's an awareness that is required to cope with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may not be able to do that on your own, which is one of the reasons why I said before, I have been fortunate enough to have a support system,
Right.
albeit it's small, but it exists.
Right.
And there are some persons who they can pick up the little changes in my behavior.
Right.
So, hey, what's going on? I didn't hear from you today. I didn't see you today. What's going on? You go there. Little things like that make a difference.
Sure.
And also, in the absence of these persons, you need to be able to pick these things up.
Yeah.
Because remember, these people, they have their own lives.
Right, we all do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all have things to do. So when you can figure out, okay, like for instance, even like for instance with your phone, everything is on your phone.
Yeah.
You pick it up, you check, you realize what the weather is going to be. You say, okay, for the next 4 days, it's going to be rain. I need to be prepared for that.
Sure.
So how is my schedule going to change? How is basically what am I going to do differently this week that's going to ensure, even though I may not be outside as much, that my headspace is still where I want it to be. I'm still in a positive space. I've been coping with it by also being prepared physically.
Yes.
You have to have your jacket, you have to have your umbrella. And one of the things that I've learned, layer.
Yeah.
Do not go outside with the people and them cold with just a pants and a t-shirt alone. You will die.
Yes, you will get
you will die.
done.
You need to layer. I remember in the earlys when I just came, because I came in June. So I was fortunate enough to have summer, even though that year it was a wet summer.
Yeah.
Wet summer. And so when we came into fall and winter, now I've traveled a lot, I never experienced snow until I came here. That's the first thing.
Wow.
I experienced December in the US. I remember we did, because we were off for December at that point. So I would have left, I think, the first week of December after doing that European run.
Yeah.
So Barcelona was freezing, and I've had cold temperatures.
Yeah.
But when I came here, I got snow. And I had no idea that going into Amsterdam would be so cold.
Okay.
So I went out with some friends, and suddenly, coming from the Caribbean, you're accustomed to short pants and a t-shirt, or you may put on a jacket, but the jacket is not padded.
Right, and it may be only in the night.
It's only in the night, correct. And I remember I left Hardenberg. When I left, let's say, it was cold. I was like, oh God, it's cold. So I pulled the jacket closer. Did I have on short pants? No, I had on long pants, but I did not have on any leggings or anything below it.
Yeah.
Jeans. And I'm there and I'm like, oh. Walked, got into the train, nice and warm in the train. When I reached to Amsterdam, and that cold breeze knocked me.
You either going.
Please, like literally, I remember I stood up in front of Central Station and I am like, God! And I'm there and I am freezing because, and the interesting thing, my friends were here before me.
Yeah.
They're used to it. They're like, oh, this is not cold. This is normal. But I am like, this is cold. For the entire night, I was freezing.
Yeah, it's an indoctrination into coldness.
Yes!
Because when you just got here, it's really cold. But for me now, it's like it's normal.
You get used to it.
I get used to it.
Now I'm fine because I know I look at my phone, I look outside, I pay particular attention to the temperature.
Yeah.
So I know if it's single digits, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Anything below 5, layer, bundle. Anything, let's say between 5 and 10, you still need to layer. Anything between, let's say, 10 and 15, it's bearable, depending on where you are.
Yes.
Anything over 15, okay, you may forgo the jacket. You can put on a hoodie and you'll be okay. Anything over 20, oh, that's hot.
Anything over 20 is really, really hot.
Yeah, that's the thing. But that's the thing, you learn.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to learn, if you're not a fast learner, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah,
You're part of it that people need to remember. The changes in the temperature can get you sick as well too.
Right.
And so you have to understand what, the signals your body is giving you.
Yeah.
And be prepared for that. So you have your medication there. If you're feeling a sniffle, you have whatever medication to take.
Definitely.
You bundle up, you have your gloves, your jacket. Be prepared.
So based upon what you're saying, you're actually well prepared.
Yeah.
And to face the challenge.
As best as I could.
Okay.
And the reality is there would be some days when I'm like, yeah, this is too cold. I'm not going anywhere.
Right. And is there days, as you said, that you feel like, oh, you're not going anywhere? But if you have work to go, then...
Right. So if I have work to do or work to go, then I will go.
Yeah.
because that's
That
a
is
responsibility.
right.
That's something that I have to do. One of the things that I like about the Netherlands is the ability to work from home.
Yeah.
And not every job allows you that luxury or that privilege or that ability, but there are some jobs that you can.
Okay.
And for persons for whom the weather may be a bit of a challenge, finding a work from home job, even if it means you go to the office one day for the week and the other 4 days you're home, it's going to be beneficial for you.
So I can see you traversing the terrain very well.
I'm trying. I am trying.
So now let's look at the food.
Oh God.
You know, the Caribbean, our food is spice, the bacon. Bacon shark is your special? Or not?
If it is, you're going to the beach.
And then and you know, so tell me, how do you cope with it?
Why are you doing this to me?
No, I just asking a little bit of everything, a little bit here and there.
The food is interesting. It's an acquired taste.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Oh, okay.
And by saying that, I mean no disrespect to the Dutch people, but it's an acquired taste.
Okay.
Coming from the Caribbean, we're accustomed to heavy seasoning.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I remember I was dating somebody and I cooked for them. And I want to say I made the mistake and cooked for them. Because at that point I was really craving macaroni pie. I just wanted pie. I love macaroni pie. What some people may call mac and cheese, we call it macaroni pie. Your cheese, your pasta, your eggs, you name it, it's there, your milk and everything. Keep in mind, you have to season it properly. So what I do, I would throw some green seasoning into it. You know, you have your little spices, you have your little soda. So when that bakes, that aroma that you get. Something as simple as even when you're doing chicken, if you're doing any meats, you have to season the meat as well too. And you don't just season it and you just put it in. No, you season it and you put it, you let it rest, you let it marinate.
Okay.
For about an hour, 2 hours. If you have time, you do it the night before. So all the flavors get infused in the meat and the food. So when you do cook it, the first thing you get is the smell. So you could be in the kitchen and whoever is passing at the street and they're smelling, it's like, oh God, what is this person cooking? It smells so good. Yeah. I don't get that here. I do not get that here. And it got to the point whereby it became a challenge for me even finding the right herbs and spices.
Yeah, it is.
Partially because of the language difference.
Yeah.
So there may be certain things that we may call by a certain name that the Dutch persons may call by a different name. Yeah. That was one of the challenges I encountered. But just having that at the availability of the number of herbs and spices or seasonings and the right herbs and spices and seasonings to make what you need to make, that's the challenge. Yeah. There is a heavy reliance here on sweet stuff. Yeah. And for persons who, like myself, I'm not a fan of things that are excessively sweet. Yeah. So I mean, even like the Oli Bolin and all the different chocolates and all the different the stroopwafels and stuff, while they're good for a time, I can't eat that 24/7. Yeah. I really can't. Yeah. Is it something that is delicious? Yes. I mean, I do enjoy Oli Bolin from time to time, but I can't do that all the time. So I need something I need variety.
Have you ever tried the stamppot?
I have. Oddly enough, I like that.
Okay.
And that's because I like potatoes.
Oh, okay.
So anytime you do potatoes with any sort of mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, anything, and even if you throw some vegetables in that, perfect. I'm there. What's another one?
Iron.
Sorry?
The iron. Herring.
The eggs?
Herring.
Herring. No, I never tried the herring. No.
They call it herring.
Oh, herring. But yes, see, that's the thing.
Yeah,
the thing is,
herring actually.
I know that there are a lot of foods I've yet to try.
Okay.
There's one that I tried, I think it's fricandelle they call it.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think it's the fricadelle. That's actually pretty delicious.
What is that?
It's
actually?
like a sausage with like meat and stuff.
Oh no, because I don't really eat those things, so I don't know.
Ah, you're missing out, man. You're missing
No,
out.
no, I don't eat processed meat, so
Ah,
I
okay,
wouldn't eat
that's
that.
fine. But
I don't eat pork and I don't eat processed meat. So if I don't see chicken or fish, I don't eat.
oh, okay, I feel you. I feel you. But that's the thing, like, I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And that's probably because I'm a meat mouth. Well, we call it in Trinidad a meat mouth. You love
Okay.
meat.
Mm.
But generally, I mean, the food, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I like the fact, and it's odd because in Trinidad we don't eat a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
Here, cheese is a staple
Yeah.
in their diet, in Dutch culture, Dutch diet, for obvious reasons. But I think now it's an acquired taste in me. I'm liking cheese. The point whereby even before we had the conversation,
Yeah.
I had some cheese here.
Yeah, I noticed you brought your cheese and your sausage.
Definitely, I am liking now as a little snack.
Yeah.
I understand now why the Dutch eat it so much, because it's delicious and it's
Okay.
easy, it's quick. Just pop it in and you're good to go. So yeah.
So, how do you still stay connected to your roots in terms of food? You spoke about your spices and your herbs. Do you still stay connected? Do you find a niche here where you can get your food, your stuff from?
I try, but it's a struggle, and I'll tell you why. Depending on where in the Netherlands you are, if you're in a bigger city, you have more variety, obviously.
Yeah.
From some of the Arab shops to the African stores, and it's not just for food, even something as simple as hair products as well,
Yeah.
skincare products as well. You're not necessarily going to find those things in abundance in some of the main Dutch
No.
retail stores. Obviously, because that's not their main demographic.
Yeah.
But if you're in a location that has, like a bigger city, you're gonna find it, and it's the same
Yeah.
thing with food. Do I cook as much now as before? No, because of limitations in my location,
Okay.
and not just limitations in my location, but also the availability, I guess availability as well.
Yeah.
Of the right spices, the
Prices
right
and-
foods. It's challenging. It's difficult to
and
find.
that was my question. But isn't there any Caribbean store with Trinidad? Anybody from Trinidad have any
They
store
do.
here
In Hardenberg, there is
in
one.
Amsterdam? Or
But
anywhere?
Amsterdam, I don't know them by name, and I know Hardenberg where I am now. I think it's LM, I think you call it. They have Caribbean stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was actually very much surprised to see they have Callaloo.
Yeah.
And if you know what Callaloo is, it's really like dashing bush and everything kind of mixed up in one.
Yeah.
It's a nice, smooth, blended, did I say liquefied, like a stew that you can put on different things. We have, you want have Maggie as well in
It's-
Hardenberg in the
right.
store. But again, even though Maggie is available in Yumbo
It's a different
It's a
type.
different-
It's a different thing.
type,
It's a European,
yes.
like some of the products that you get in England.
Even in some of these Caribbean stores or African stores, you may get like the ackee and saltfish for like some of the Jamaicans. You may get some of the breads or the patties that persons in the Caribbean like. But it's a struggle to find.
Yeah, it is.
And-
It is.
So this is where I think networking is so important, because if you don't talk to people, you won't know.
Right. So online, I used to have a friend from Trinidad. She lives in Amsterdam. I used to get fry bake from her. She used to do lovely fry bake and send it for me. Her name is Chelsea. Anyway, hi Chelsea.
You get through. You know how long I try to get my Jamaican friend to make fried bake, but he don't want to make it, and I don't know why.
So you don't make it?
I don't have the time.
Oh.
In fact, that's a poor excuse. I do have the time. It's just it's so exhausting to make.
Really? Chelsea would make it for me
It's
1,
like
2,
something
3.
to me.
Come on, Trini guy.
It's like something. But even with the fried egg, that was something that I kind of grew up on. And I remember my grandmother. Before she passed, every time I would visit her, there would always be a bowl or plate of hot bakes waiting. And if it wasn't prepared, it will be prepared the next morning. Like for breakfast, or you might get it for like a snack. And as she's taking it out of the oil, I'm just there taking it. And when she realizes that, she'd be like, "Get out of the kitchen!" You know, I'm gonna smack on the hand and I'll run out of the kitchen with 2 bakes in my hand. Things like that.
So, let me ask you, do you find people from your country here to make, as you said, what the word? Connections.
Yes. I have found the thing is I have found I found Trinidadians and I found Caribbean people. Do I interact with them much? Not really, because a lot of them live far from where I live. And so interactions for me personally go beyond talking on the phone. I need to see you face to face. Let's go out, let's have a drink, let's go to the movies, let's go to a party, let's meet for an event, things like that. And because of the challenges surrounding meeting up, part of those challenges may be financial, part of it will be distance as well, time as well, because when I may be free, they may not be, etc. All these things really kind of put a damp on maintaining those connections.
Because my next question would have been, have you get to meet up with your Trini people and bring a little bit of like a Trini line, with them?
I have, since I've been here I have, but not like, as often as I would like to.
So did you get to make any doubles?
No.
So did they have doubles there?
No, but the interesting thing is I have been trying to find a doubles vendor, a doubles stand, and I've heard whispers of doubles in Amsterdam. I haven't seen it. Or maybe they call it by a different name, but I haven't seen it.
I don't think it's my thinking, if someone from Trinidad come here, they would want to change the double name,
but
they want to maintain it.
For marketability, they may have to.
It's your culture.
because even like when you have take the macaroni pie for instance. I remembered. I know it, as I said, I know it as macaroni pie. But because of the demographic, they call it mac and cheese. And it looks the same. No, mind you, it doesn't taste the same. Man. It looks the same. But they call it by a different thing. So a Trinidadian might come and they may call it doubles for the first couple of times, and then they may name it something else in order for it to be marketable. You never know. I have not seen it. If I do find it, definitely I will partake, but since I've been here, I haven't.
Any carnival events since you've been here?
Oh God.
Have you ever been to Rotterdam Carnival?
No, last year I wanted to, but time did not allow. And it was around the time when I had just come. This year, well, the next one that they have, because the year is almost ended, I do think I want to partake. I think part of it, there was a club in Amsterdam that I used to go to that really did give a nice Caribbean vibe. It's closed. It closed like last 2-3 months. Reality. Really nice space. And there's where you would really meet with your Caribbean
people.
Yes. The music will just kind of bring you back to a happy place because it's Caribbean music. I went to a party recently in Groningen, in the Simplion, I think you call it, where I think the name of it was Bri was the name of it. A friend of mine, she organized the party. And while it was not a Caribbean party, there was Caribbean influence.
Oh,
So it was like Afro beats and some African music and stuff. But
okay.
you did have some Caribbean songs, some dancehall, some soca thrown in. And when I heard it, I'm like, take off and I
Okay.
get in.
Alright.
It really did bring me back to a happier time.
Okay.
Because this is what I know, this is what I love, this is who I am. And regardless of how things go in the Netherlands, you can't take that out of me.
Right. Looking back, what are some of the advice would you give to, say, a Trinidadian want to migrate to Netherlands or to any other foreign country, or young people in general who just want to migrate, just go to another country?
The advice would be different. Let's start with the Trini. Understand, so the advice I would give them would be understand that coming from Trinidad, you are but a dot in a larger world.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The world does not revolve around you as a Trinidadian.
Yeah.
And that's not to be insulting or anything. It's just sometimes when we come from Trinidad without having traveled, we think that we are the only thing that exists. We are the be all and end all. We are the best thing since sliced bread. And then we get to a country where people are like, no, have a seat, you're not. And that could come as a shock.
Yeah.
Some persons respond very negatively to that. My advice to them is understand that there's a world out there that's larger than Trinidad.
Yeah.
And it's going to be helpful if you can explore and understand the world that exists outside there. But in exploring, you have to have an open mind.
Yeah.
You cannot leave Trinidad with such a narrow focus and think that your way is the only way.
Yeah.
Because it's not. And if you're coming to a space that's so diverse, that's so large, that's so multicultural, so multi-ethnic, so multi-religious, so multifaceted, you are going to meet resistance, you're going to meet brick walls, if your mindset is one that's very limiting and very small and very narrow. When it comes to children, or rather young people,
young adults, yeah.
I would say that if you're coming into the Netherlands that's so liberal, ensure that you have a support system to keep you grounded.
Yeah.
And that's important because oftentimes you find a lot of young people, they come here and they get caught up in all the different things, from the drugs to the sex to the crime, and they get caught up with the wrong crowd because they think, I'm having fun, I'm living my life, YOLO, you only live once. And then before you know it, you have cases before the court, you've been arrested, you have fines to pay, you're missing your appointments, you got sick because you contracted STDs and STIs, you got somebody pregnant, somebody got you pregnant, things like that. And the life that you came here to build is slowly disappearing from you because you've made horrible decisions.
Yeah.
Find a support system that can hold you accountable, a support system that can keep you grounded. And also have a goal. Don't just come here and think, well, I'm going to migrate. What does migration mean for you? What do you want to get out of it? Are you fleeing persecution? Are you trying to get a better job? Are you looking for marriage? Because some people migrate to find a wife or husband. Find a goal, get your steps towards the accomplishment of that goal and stick to it.
Yeah. So in closing, what are some of the things you'd want someone who, as an expat, from the Caribbean here, what are some of the things that you want them to understand? I know you speak a lot a while ago, but is there that one thing?
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because you can ask knowledge of what? So knowledge of self, knowledge of community, knowledge of environment, knowledge of challenges, and that will feed into the environment as well. that's knowledge that you can only get from reading, researching, asking questions, meeting resistance as well,
Yeah.
learning from your mistake. That knowledge is what's going to make you, is going to get you where you want to get, or where you want to go. Yeah? I think that is what sets persons apart, because you're going to have experts that will come here thinking, similar to what I was saying earlier, that their way is the only way, the best way.
Yeah.
But you're not prepared to learn, you're not prepared to learn the language, you're not prepared to try the food, you're not prepared to integrate, you're not prepared to go out, you just want to stay in your house. I don't need to learn about this, I don't need to go here, I hate the train, I hate the food, I hate the this, I hate the that.
Yeah.
But where does that leave you? You're left by yourself,
Yeah.
you're left depressed, you
Yeah.
don't have a support system because now no one wants to be around you and you
Yeah.
haven't taken the time to meet and interact with people.
Right.
And so your time here is not as fulfilling as it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I must say thank you for sharing. It has been an awesome, jamming up and down, going over here and there. But yes, as my theme song said for my YouTube, Jamming with Leroy in Heidelberg. If you like jamming, I want you to come jam with us. If you have a story, call me. Tell me your story. We will tell it here to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, again. Guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am Leroy Thompson, and the YouTube channel is Leroy Thompson 8486. Thank you so much, guys. Now,
How long was that?
about 45 minutes.
56 minutes.
Ah!